Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, we successfully complete our default authentication system. That means right now we can register some of the user and also we can able to log in. And when this user is logging, I set up it will be redirected to our account edit page. So now it's not should be redirected our particular this page. It should be redirected one of the home page, and in our home page where all that our user post will be visible. Because of all here I want to do and to create one of the social media projects. So for checking this I am actually using it. So right now for user post I want to create another application. So before for authentication related everything I already did in our this application area, that is our app logging, right? So right now we don't need this, I remove everything. So first of all I want to create one of the application for our post. That means all that post related everything I want to set up in our this application. So first of all I want to create another application. So if you want to create that application, I think you already remember that part, that is our pie and then manage pie. Okay, manage pie and then start app. I want to create one of the application name as a app underscore post. Okay, I name it as a app underscore post. So that will be our application. That means it will be created our application as a pie, manage pie and the start app, and our app name will be as a app post. Now if you click as a enter, now you can see it's now successfully created our new application, that is our new application as a app post, right? So when you create new application, I think you already remember it, what exactly our fast work. Our fast work is we have to install it, right? You have to install it in our main setting. That means into the settings, and there have our install app. So here I want to load it. I copy it and paste it. It should be as a app post. I name it as a app underscore post, right? That will be our fast work. So I install it. Now click as a save all. So right now we don't need it, I remove it. Okay, and after that also we have to create one of the URL. That means in our app post area we have to create one of the URL, because we have to mapping our URL. That means it will be as urls.py, right? That will be our urls.py. And then if you create it, then we have to register it. That means in our this position in our main project, that is our URL. So here we have to include it, right? Now I do the same things. It will be as a comma and then I paste it. And also I want to do, it will be our main path will be as a post, and then here we have to include our what? We have to include our app post. Into the app post I have already created one of the URLs, so it will be our app underscore post, right? That will be our app post URL. Perfect. So now what I want to do in our app post, and that is our URL. So here better from our app logging URL, I copy everything from here. Okay, I copy everything, and now in our app post I paste it. So it will be loaded our default one in our path, and also right now that is our app post. So it will be as a app post. So from to the app post I input that views. That means in our app post that is our views, right? And also I want to add one of the name. Our app name will be our app post. I name it with the same name, and here we have to add all that our path, right? So right now I remove it, I make that things as a clean. So now I click as a save all. It's perfect. So now I want to do, if you go to our home, that means first of all we have to work for our home. You can see, so for the home I didn't create any path, right? So here I want to load one of the home page. So if you want to do that work, like in our app post, into the app post area, in our app post URL area, I want to create one of the path, and I name it as a path. Because of all I have already input our default path, right? So with this path you can add one of the page. So it will be as a slash. That means it will be as empty. Because of all in our main URL it will be as a post. That means that will be our main home. So now I want to make it as a empty, and then in our views, into the views area I want to create one of the function as a home function, and then also I name it, and I name it as a home. That means our path name will be as a home. I hope it's very much clear to you, friend. And also this link, that means here I have already created our home path, and now we have to create our this function. So before adding that function I want to load it. That means in our menu area, that means in our navbar, into the navbar Here you can see that is our home. So now I want to update our URL. So if you want to update that URL, what exactly you have to do? You have to put as a URL, and then into the URL area, I have already created our path. So that will be our app name. Our app name is the app post, and then our home, right? That means it will be the app post, and into the app post that will be our this home. So now I first of all put that link in our menu area. That will be our home, right? So now in our URL, so into the URL, that is our main, when it will be as a empty, it should be direct to our views home. That means home method. So now first of all I want to create our this function. That means in our app post, if you go to that views, so here I want to create this function. So that will be in our from, and from the Django, from to the Django, then the shortcuts, right? From to the shortcut, I want to input one of the HTTP response. That will be as HTTP and then response. Okay, that will be as HTTP response. So now I want to actually load our this with this HTTP response. I want to return some of the data. So I take on the function, our function name, I have already declared it. It should be as a home, right? So now I want to create this function. It should be as a home, and then here we have to pass that our request, and then I want to return it. That means a return with our HTTP response. It should be display some of the name. It should be display as a home. Okay, so this should be display this type of one of the name. So now if you want to access it, like I just click as a save all. If you want to now access our this home, what exactly we have to do? We have to go to our this post, and after this post, then it should be redirected to our app post and the URL. That means that is our app post. It should be redirected to our this URL. It should be as empty. So when it should be as empty, then it should be redirected to our home, right? So now let's check this out. If you now click as a refresh, and now if you after that, if you put that as a post, sorry, that will be as a post. Okay, that will be as a post. Click as a enter. Yes, now you can see, friend, now it's actually showing our this home. Because of all, I have already declared it. That means when it will be the empty in our main URL area, I loaded our post. So after that post slash, then it will be redirected to our include app post and the URL. That means app post URL, and here with the view, I load one of the function as a home. That means in our app post, that is our views, that is our home, I return one of the HTTP response name, that is our home. You can see it's now showing as at home, but our home page not should be display with our this slash, right? So here I only want to do when it should be redirected to our our home page. That means our home URL, then our home will be loaded. So if you want to do that work, it's pretty much simple. We have to load our this function. We have to load this function in our this URL. That means in our mother URL. Okay, that means that is actually our main mother URLs. That is our URLs. So here I want to create another path. I take another path and I name it at it should be as a empty. Okay, that means it's so when it should be as a empty, that means it should be as a home. So here I want to load our view. That means in the views area, I have already created as a home, and also I name it as a same name with the home. I name it as a home. So with these views, so these views home, here we have to load it. Because of all, I have created our this view in our which position, in our app post, and that is our views, right? So for the reasons here we have to import it. So now I want to input it. So that will be from our app post. That will be from our app post, and from to the app post I want to input our views, right? So then it will be as a views. Right now it will be automatically redirected to our views. That means I have already input our views. That means these views, and home, it should be redirected to our app post, and then our these views, our this home. I hope, friend, it's very much clear to you what exactly the things I did on here. Now if you click as a save all, and now if you refresh our home page, yes, you can see, friend, now our home is loaded, right? So here we don't need to slash our post. That will be our main home page. I hope it's very much clear to you, friend. And also if you want to access our this home page, then this user must have to be logging, right? So here I want to set up it. Because of all, after that logging you can actually access it. Okay, so if you want to put that condition, so you have to put that condition in our view. That means right now we don't need this, and that is our app URL. So I remove everything from here. That is our enab bar. I have already put that link. That will be our app post home. So everything is ready-made on here, so that will be our post. So into the view area here, I want to make our this function as a required. That means if you want to access our this function, this user must have to be logged in. So here we have to input our this class, right? That is in our from. I have already discussed about that things with you. That is our Django, and then the contrib, and from to the Django contrib, they have the auth, right? And then the decorators. So that from to the decorators, I want to input our logging required. That will be as a logging underscore required, right? That will be as a logging required. So now I want to make our this logging required. So it will be as a @ and then I make it as a logging required. So now if you want to access our this home, this user must have to be logged in. So friend, for now, from here I return one of the HTTP response on the string data. So now our string data is visible. So now here I want to load one of the templates. So if you want to create that template, I think you already remember it, what exactly you have to do. Right now, if you want to load the template, we have to load it with this render, right? So now I return one of the render, and this render pass two of this parameter. One is the request, another is our file location. So now I want to add one of the file location. That means in our in our template area, I want to create another folder. I want to create another folder for our post. That means all the post related file I want to save in our app, and then posts. Okay, in our app post folder, I want to save it. So into the app post folder area, I want to create another file. I created a new file, and I just name it as a home.html. Okay, so now I want to load our this home.html. So into the view area, into the render, so that will be in our app post. So friend, I hope you enjoy it very much, because every concept should be very much already familiar to you. So now I loaded our home.html, right? And also in our home.html, if you want to pass some of the title data, you can pass it with the context. So that will be as a context. Okay, that will be as a context, and into the context area you load our addition, our key name. I name it as a title. Okay, name it as a title, and here I want to display one of the title name, and our title name will be as a home page. Okay, it will be as a home page. So now we have to actually work in our this home.html. That means that is our home.html, right? I have already created one of the file in our app post, that is our home.html. So into the home.html, first of all, we have to extend it, right? We have to extend our which one? We have to extend our this navbar, because of all in our home page, that is I have already declared that user must have to be logged in. So when this user logging, I want to load our navbar. That means our nav menu in our navbar area, right? So now I want to first of all extend. Okay, extends our navbar.html. That is will be as a navbar.html. I load our navbar, and then I want to put our title. That means I want to take our blog. That will be as a blog, and in our blog area, if you go to our navbar, into the navbar, I name it as a title, right? That will be as a title. So here I name it as our blog will be as a title, and also after that I want to finish it. That means here after this it should be as a and block, and into the and block area, that means here I want to load our diction data. I pass that diction data as a title. So now I want to load it on here, right? And also I want to take another block. So it will be our body block, right? So here it will be as a body, that means a block. So our block will be in our navbar. If you go to our navbar, into the navbar, I name it as a body block. That will be as a body block. So now I name it as a body block, and also after that I have to and it. That means the and block, right? And I name it one of the h1 tag better right now, and it will be as a this is home page. So now this type of the h1 tag, it should be visible. Now let's check this out. If you now click as a save all, so before we pass some of the string data, so now here I pass our render, our this template should be loaded, right? First of all, I want to check our server is totally running, and now if you refresh it, yes, you can see it's now perfectly getting our navbar, and also it's now showing our this is home page. That means that is our page I have created as a home.html. So now it's perfectly loaded. And also I display our title because of all from our view in our dictionary area. I pass the title name as a home page, and you can see our title is also updated. It's now visible our diction data as a home page, right? And if you go to our home, and in the home you can see when you click as a home, it's redirected to our post, right? Because of all, if you go our navbar, into the navbar, I load our URL will be as a app post home. That means if you go to our app post, that is in our, if you go to our URL, into the URL, that is our app name as app post, and then I load our this home. So automatically it's now getting our this path. That means if you go to our main URL, into the main URL, I make it as a our post, right? So when it should be click as a this position, it should be directed to our post, and then it should be load our same page. And also if you go to our main URL, it should be load our the same page. Because of all, here I also load our views home. I hope, friend, it's very much clear to you. So everything is now perfectly working. So right now I want to create another button for our logout. Because of all, right now I am already logged in, right? So here also you have to add that logout. So friend, in fundamental, I have already discussed about that things with you, how can create that logout function. So it's pretty much simple. Okay, it's pretty much simple. Better I remove everything from here right now. That will be navbar will be needed, so better I close it. Okay, that will be our home. So if you want to working with this logout, that means that is in our app logging, right? So into the app logging, that is our related with our authentication. So in our app logging, that is our view, and into the view area you can see I have already input our authenticate, logging, and the logout. So now with this logout we can actually do that work very easily. So for the logout, I want to do after that edit profile here I want to create another function. I think you already remember it. So I take another function that will be, I name it as a logout, whatever you want. So right now I may name it as a logout and then user. Okay, logout user. And also here we have to pass that our request and then our logout function. So with this logout, I want to pass that our this logout request. So when it should be logout, where exactly it should be redirected, so I name it in our return and with our HTTP, response redirect, and then with the reverse. So with the reverse, I want it should be redirected to our which page? It should be redirected if you go to our app logging, and that is our URL. It should be redirected to our this logging. Okay, that means that is actually our logging. So if you want to access this path, we have to first of all add that name. That means our app name will be as a app logging, and then our URL path name as a logging. Right now I name it as a logging. Perfect. So that means when it should be logout, then it should be redirected to our this logging. And also if you want to access this logout, then this user must have to be logout. That means the must have to be logging. That means our logging will be required, right? So I name it as a logging required, and then our method name, that means our function name, as a logout, and then that is our logout. So for access this logout, we have to also create one of the URL. That means in our URL area here, I want to create another one, and I just paste it. So that is in our app logging and in our URL, right? So here we have to create it. So I name it, it will be as a logout. Okay, it will be as a logout. And then also in our view, into the view area, I have created one of the function name as a logout user. So it should be as a logout user, and then with our, I name it as a logout. Okay, friend. So now if you want to put that link, in our this navbar, so that is our home navbar. That means in our, if you go to our template, into the template, that is our navbar. Here I want to load our another menu. Better I copy it and I paste it, so, and name it as a logout. Okay, logout. So for the logout, I have already created it. That means that will be in our app logging. So with this app logging, I want to access our path name. Our path name I declared that will be as a logout. So now I want to make that as a logout. I hope, friend, it's very much clear to you. So now let's check this out. If you now click as a save all, I click as a save all, our server. First of all, I want to check our server. Server is running. They have no error. And right now I'm already logged in. Click as a refresh. So you can see right now I'm already logging. For the reasons it's actually I can access our this logout. So now if you want to log out, so here for the logout, I have already declared that part. That means when it should be successfully log out, it should be redirected to our HTTP response redirect, reverse our app logging page, right? Now if you click as a logout, yes, you can see it's now perfectly redirected to our logging page. So right now, friend, we can successfully complete our total part. That means right now you can create some of the new user and also you can logging. So I have already created some of the user. If you logging with the user as a Kazi and then Udemy 12345, that is our Kazi password. Click as a logging. So now you can see it's now redirected to our accounts edit page. Right now we can successfully logging. So here, friend, I want to do when this user will be successfully logged in, then it should be redirected to our home page, not our this page. That means not the edit page. So here I declare it. That means in our view, into the view area. So when it should be as a sign up, it should be redirected to our logging page. And now that is when it should be logging before I have used in our app logging edit page, right? So I have now already created our home URL. That means if you go to our right now that is our app post. If you go to our app post URL, and you can see I have already created one of the home URL. So I want to when this user will be logging, I want to pass this user to our this home page. So that will be in our app name as a app post. So now I copy it, and now here it should be as a app post. Into the app post area, I have already created one of the URL, our URL name as a home, right? So now I want to pass it. So it should be redirected to our app post home. Now let's check this out. If you now click as a save all, now I refresh this page. Now click as a logout, and now I want to log in again. Okay, I refresh it, and now I log in again with the Kazi and Udemy 12345. Now click as a logging. Yes, now you can see, friend, it's now redirected to our home page. I hope it's very much clear to you. So friend, I hope you enjoyed very much. So don't worry, it's step by step, everything will be more clear to you. So now I want to work with our post. That means I want to create some of the page for our social media post. So how can do that work? In our next video, I will show you that things with a live example. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.